The cloud. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everyone. We will get started in just another minute. We'll just let everybody get filtered in to the event today. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. I know we have, this is one of our new short webinars that we're doing for Lily this year. So we'll go ahead and get started. Just want to say thank you for joining us. This is, like I said, the first of our mini webinar series that are focused on the Live Like You Love It toolkit. This is a new offering that we have for 2026. Our goal with these sessions is for you to gather helpful information in small nuggets and take action with those to be able to implement whatever we share that day. We have several other sessions that are either currently scheduled or are going to be planned and scheduled in the future. I'll share the next topic at the end of today's session so you can join us for that next session. My name is Melissa Brassfield. I am the project coordinator for Colorado WaterWise, and I support the Live Like You Love It committee, as well as helping members and prospective members with pretty much anything Live Like You Love It related. I wanted to start today off with just getting a sense of who's in the room today. So I am going to open up a poll right now for us just to see who's joining us today. So if you can just answer kind of the best question or the best type of organization that you work for. While you guys are answering that, I'll just go over these couple housekeeping items. So all of our attendees today will be muted. If you have any questions, feel free to drop those into the Q&A section, and I will, depending on what they are, I may pause and answer them as we go, or I may answer them towards the end. We will be recording these sessions as well as all of our other short sessions that we're doing this year, mainly to use as resources for members or prospective members in the future. So that will be available both on the website as well as to an email for anyone who registered by the end of this week. So I'll go ahead and end that poll and share our results. So the majority of you folks are from water utilities, so welcome. The rest of you all are local government nonprofits or kind of industry professionals. So thanks for joining us today. This is helpful so that I can kind of tailor and gear some of our information. So I'll pause and shift that over. So I'll give a brief background, brief introduction for some of our new attendees for our event today. Colorado WaterWise is a community of water stewards, innovators, activists, and educators. We share a lot of great information to everyone, but there are additional member benefits that are available to our members, like our recordings of our webinars like this one, as well as access to our newsletter and our archives for that, as well as discounts to events and just being plugged into a really active water community across Colorado. Obviously, becoming a Colorado WaterWise member also provides you access to this Live Like You Love It toolkit that we'll be talking about today. Okay. So over the years, we have heard from many utility staff that they really struggle with a few things. Remaining consistent in conservation messages and even developing those messages, the time and energy and resources that it takes to develop those outreach materials, maybe not ever changing, but the new ADA requirements that you as public utilities have to meet with sharing information with your customers. And then also challenges with reaching that diverse customer base, whether that's language diversity or just the various types of customers that you have within your service area. I would be curious to see kind of what you guys feel is that biggest challenge. Do these resonate? So this question here, what's the biggest challenge with your outreach materials? Time to create them, the design capacity, challenges with translating those materials, the accessibility and ADA requirements. And this is just a single answer, so it might be hard for you. I know all of these may be challenging for some folks, but this is helpful for us to understand what those big pain points are, so that hopefully this Live Like You Love It toolkit can help and continue to support those Colorado utilities. So I'll go ahead and end this and share those results. It looks like the largest challenge is finding the time to create them. One benefit of the toolkit is that it's all packaged together, ready to go. The accessibility is definitely a challenge. I will touch on that in a couple slides here. And then the remaining consistent in that messaging and the graphic design capacity is also something that is kind of a challenge that you guys are feeling. So hopefully at the end of this, you can find some ideas and ways to kind of ease some of those challenges. I'll give a brief background on the campaign. So Live Like You Love It is a statewide education and outreach campaign. It delivers a unified message about the value of Colorado water and the importance of using it wisely. This campaign began in 2013 as a result of the drought and was a product of the 2012 Year of Water celebration. The product or the materials are created and maintained by Colorado WaterWise. We continue to add new materials every single year. And it serves as an education and outreach campaign that's really geared towards water utilities. Other organizations are more than welcome to use those materials, but it especially hits those small and medium-sized businesses or utilities, that have that limited staff and that limited budget. And then active Colorado WaterWise utility and non-utility members have access to that full toolkit that I'll talk about here in a couple slides. And LLYLI really taps into that emotional connection that all Coloradans have with water, encouraging lifestyle choices and behavior changes. And there's three core principles that are seen throughout the materials that we'll cover: conserve, care, and commit. The three C's. Those main components include things like messaging, graphics, written materials, imagery, all sorts of things. And the whole toolkit is worth, probably this number has increased even since putting this number together, but it's at least a $200,000 investment that Colorado WaterWise has put in that is making it available to you all as members. As I mentioned earlier, there is definitely some limitations that you guys have had and challenges that you guys have faced with translations as well as ADA. So I'll just touch on these two before we dive into the toolkit, just because these are kind of overarching themes that apply to almost all of our materials. So nearly all of the written components that we have in the toolkit are available in both English and Spanish. Spanish is definitely the most requested and asked for translation from our members, so that they can reach that wider segment of their customer base. We also know that as a public utility in Colorado, that you are faced with additional ADA compliance requirements. And so all of the PDFs that are available within the toolkit have that ADA compliant PDF versions. If you open them, they won't look any different, but there are accessibility reports that accompany those. The image that you see on the right side of this screen shows all of those materials in those ADA accessible formats. And then just a couple samples of what those English and Spanish versions look like as well. Before I dive into each of the toolkit materials, I also wanted to kind of see what you guys are using as far as how you're reaching your customers. So I have a question here about which outreach channels does your organization use the most? Similar to our last question, this is a one answer only. So is it mostly through social media, your website, through emails to customers, printed materials? Are you attending community events or workshops? Or are you still in the planning phases and developing that outreach approach for your customers? And this will help kind of highlight and focus some of what I touch on or emphasize later on. So I'll go ahead and share those results here. So it looks like the majority of you guys, it's maybe a little bit split across social media, the website, as well as those of you who are still kind of working out how you're reaching and communicating with your customers. And definitely social media and website are probably a big portion of the channels that we hear from our members for sharing these resources. And leading into that, I'll touch on the social media aspect of it. So the next few slides here is going to be spent highlighting some of the toolkit materials. This is not going to show you everything that's available. This is just really touching on the things that we hear is most useful, and also giving you some examples of how it's used in real life with utilities and just how you can incorporate that into your outreach plan. There are more than, and I just updated this number with the most recent social media information and resources that we've shared through 2025. So we have more than 230 social media captions, images, hashtags, basically everything you would need to plug and play in for social media. And these cover topics like indoor conservation, outdoor conservation, gardening, winter watering tips, how to do water quality or how things impact water quality. So really it spans everything that you will likely want to be communicating with your customers about. One thing that I'll note is you can either take these materials and share them, copy paste directly onto your channel social media or your organization's social media pages. We as Colorado WaterWise also use these materials and share them on our page. So you're more than welcome to just reshare what we're putting out there. One other thing that we've seen some members do who maybe don't have as active of a social media presence is using this social media content as written content. So putting it into a newsletter or putting the same content onto their website. So this could definitely be repurposed outside of just social media accounts and use. The second piece, or second and third pieces here are we have a variety of templates. So we have things like folders or stickers that you can put your logo onto and share when you're out doing outreach events or customer interactions, audits, those sorts of things. We also have customizable watering guides and additional resources that are really targeted towards those customers. There are also several fact sheets, more than 50, across 15 different topics. These are full page, often front and back, very visual, but easy to digest information as well. And these can be co-branded by adding your logo or your URL or contact information for your water conservation staff. One of the newest materials that you may have heard about that we released last year was our DIY lawn conversion guide. This is really a labor of love for our committee that we worked really, really hard on and are really excited to be able to share with the community. This guide is a robust 40+ page step-by-step guide geared towards homeowners that are looking to replace their lawn. It goes through every single step from pre-planning, preparing your lawn, removing the lawn, guidance on what to plant, how to maintain it after the fact. It really does cover everything. The guide can be co-branded with your logo on the front, and there are English and Spanish versions of this, as well as an ADA compliant PDF that's available so that you can share it and meet all of those requirements that you have as utilities. Excuse me. We also have a web-based interactive guide, so basically a link that you can point customers to that's really a quick reference for while they're out on the go and as they're in the garden, maybe they need to pull back up page 12 and they can get to it right from their phone. So it's a really great interactive resource to be sharing as well. There are also things like kids' activity sheets. These are cool and fun to share with schools or restaurants in your area. There's also ads for you if you would like to be running ads in bus or website or print materials. And there's also several bill insert opportunities available in here depending on the size that you have for your bill insert. There's various lengths of content that you can put in there. And then there's also little mini toolkits that we've put together that are geared towards HOAs and property managers. One thing that I didn't include on here is just some of the visual components. So we do have a lot of icons and graphics that are available, as well as a whole package of high resolution stock photos that we had a photographer take. We kind of found looking at stock imagery that some of it was hard to discern. Is it in Colorado? Is it native? Is it really the best to be sharing? So we worked with a local photographer to go out and take some of those pictures, knowing exactly what we're capturing and that it is, what we want to be sharing as Live Like You Love It toolkit materials. What I'm sure is hot on everybody's mind is drought. So in coordination with the Drought Communications Working Group, we were able to develop the Drought Communications Toolkit. And this toolkit really supports that written document that group put together last year. And it includes materials that are really similar to our larger Live Like You Love It toolkit. So it includes things like templates and fact sheets and social media, graphics and those sorts of things. The majority of the materials have been developed and are available for you all to use right now. There are a couple items that we are continuing to develop in 2026, and we'll add to this drought communications toolkit. So stay tuned for those if you're looking for some drought materials. And one thing that we've heard from potential members in the past is that sometimes they struggle to really visualize how to use all of these materials. There's so much. Where do I go? Where do I start? So I kind of put this little sample outreach campaign together to demonstrate just how easy it is to plug these Lily materials into your outreach plan. So this sample campaign that I came up with is really focused on spring watering with a goal to remind residents to use um, water efficiently as we go into spring while also facing drought conditions. So I selected 3 outreach channels just for this example, knowing that there are many other channels that you can be reaching your customers on. So I just use social media, website, and bill inserts. So for social media, you could easily pull content straight from our 2026 content calendar. You could also pull from that drought resource, those drought resources. And then there's also content that's specific to watering, how to water efficiently, or things about turf replacement. So those are easy plug and play pieces. For your website, you could include several graphics that we have available to add. You could repurpose that social media content for your website content. And then there's also things like sharing that interactive link to the DIY lawn conversion guide or the fact sheets that we have available. And for those of you who have physical or digital bill inserts and the opportunity to include language there, we have various different topics on that. There's also things like watering rules templates that we could put into the bill insert, as well as some of our fact sheets if you have the length to be able to share that size of space content, excuse me. And like I said, this is just a very small sample, but hopefully it kind of gets your wheels turning on how you can kind of identify your channels and then plug those pieces from the toolkit to be able to reach your customers. We hope that seeing these resources has kind of energized you to take action. If you're a Colorado WaterWise member, or once you become a member, to start using these materials, you really just need to fill out the use agreement. So that just gets you that access. You'll gain access through Dropbox. And then at that point, you just download the materials you want, add your logo if you want. You don't have to, but you certainly are welcome to. And then start sharing those with your customers. I'm sure that there are members of Colorado WaterWise who sign up, gain access, and are sharing the materials that same week or that next day. So it really can be that simple to pull those materials together and get them sent out to your customers. Um, So that was like I said, a very quick overview. We have about 10 minutes left in our 30-minute session today. So I will open it up for any questions that you all have. And I also just put a couple little prompted questions on here just to kind of get your wheels turning. If you have any answers to these or thoughts on these, feel free to drop them in the chat. There are a couple of materials or a couple of questions that I see coming in, so I'll answer these. And then I do have one other question, poll question that I'd love to get some feedback on from you guys. So this first one's from Catherine says, can we order physical materials through Colorado WaterWise, or do you have a company you can recommend for printing? We don't print the materials ourselves and have those available. And we have worked with several different printers, mainly in the Denver metro area, that I'm happy to provide some resources on. I don't necessarily like to say recommend, just in case you have a different experience from what our experience is, but I have a couple resources that I can share on that for your printing needs. And then the question from Lauren, do the bill inserts work with paperless billing? That may be a hard question for us to know just because it may differ depending on the platform or the program that you use for paperless billing. I know some programs have a very short, similar to like a Twitter length character limit, so they're a lot more limited on how much space they have. Others have a little bit more flexibility in how much they can share. But hopefully, if you do have that opportunity to share through your bill insert, there should be something within the toolkit that you can use, whether that's the social media content that is a lot smaller lengthwise, or you can go into like an actual visual graphic that's been created if you have the space there. And let me just pop into our Q&A and just make sure that I'm seeing all of our questions if we have any there. Okay. So I'm going to launch one more poll question here. So this one is curious about how you guys are currently creating your outreach materials, if you create them. So is it something that you guys have staff internally that you're creating those with? If you're adapting materials from other organizations, or if you hire designers or consultants yourself and work with them to develop those messages, or if you're still in that planning phase and you don't have any materials that are developed right now, or other, if you have that, feel free to drop it in the chat. This is just helpful for us to understand. This can sometimes be that pain point. You know, if your staff is creating a lot of those materials, which it sounds like a lot, that's the general majority of folks is their staff is creating that. Sometimes that may be a separate marketing department. So it may not be your internal team resources that are taken, but that's helpful for us to understand. And then it looks like there's a couple folks who kind of adapt materials from other organizations or hire designers or consultants to help create those materials. So that's helpful for us as we kind of look at how you guys as utilities are currently sharing resources with your customers, and how Colorado WaterWise and the Live Like You Love It campaign can kind of help support that. Before we wrap up, I know it seems very short, but that was really the intent of these is to share very small digestible pieces of information. Like I said earlier, we do have several more of these short Lily focused webinars planned for 2026. Our next topic that we have is going to be about communicating during drought, as well as communicating about drought or turf conversions. This one is scheduled for April 21st at 12 o'clock. I put a link in when you get these slides. You'll also be able to access that, but I also put a QR code here if you want to go ahead and register for that. We'd love to have you join us. I know that's probably very top of mind for a lot of you all when it comes to the drought conversations. Excuse me. Other ideas and topics that we have for the rest of this year is having a very short 30-minute session on how you can co-brand the materials. That's some feedback that we've gotten of, I have these materials, but I'm a small staff. How can I, what is the actual process for getting these materials co-branded? So we will go through demonstrating how to do that with different programs that you may or may not have access to, just so you can understand, if I have access to Adobe InDesign, what can I do there? If I don't, and all I have is access to PDF editor, what can I do? So hopefully that will be a very helpful hands-on opportunity. It's not yet scheduled, but it'll happen after this drought communications topic. And we have one more planned, but we don't quite have that topic figured out yet. The other thing that I'll mention is we always like to ensure that we're creating content and sharing information that is timely and relevant to you guys as the users of Lily. So if you ever have ideas of a material, a type of material that would be really helpful, or a topic, feel free to reach out to us. I can always be reached. admin@coloradowaterwise.org is my email, and then I can pass that on to our Live Like You Love It committee for discussion. But we really hope that we are sharing information and the resources that are really helpful to address the challenges that you guys have as water utilities, trying to communicate while also doing the 10,000 other things that you have to do in your day-to-day jobs. So I hope to see you on April 21st. I just have one more kind of like closeout thank you slide. Thank you for joining us today. This will be available. The recording will be available as well as the slides. I'll also include some resources with the link to that use agreement. It is up on the Lily website, or the Colorado Water website. And if you're not a member and you're interested in gaining access to these materials, I've included a QR code and the URL to learn more about those memberships and the different levels. We do have a couple more minutes. I'm happy to stay on if anybody has any additional questions, but I haven't seen any more come in to the Q&A or to the chat yet. But again, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and rest of your week.